everybody? Nick Powell's, publisher of 1851 Franchise, here with another Meet the Zor. Today we are talking with Wing Snob. Now, I already love chicken wings, but we're not talking about my love for chicken wings. We're going to talk about our love for business. Coming up next. All right, Brian. Question one is always the easiest. It is, tell me your franchise story. How did you even fall into franchising for the first time, day before and day in? What's your franchise story?
Well, key word is you said fell in, right?
Yeah.
I most definitely fell in this industry. And it's been nothing short of amazing since day one. I've always been in the restaurant business, in and out through my childhood. Planted my feet in the deli world. And when I'd come up with Wing Snob, it was sort of like a one-off thing, you know. I used to have Mr. B's roasted chicken within my deli. And with that being said, chicken wings were a hot seller for me. So got out of the industry for a little bit. And, you know, when you're good at something, you just go right back to it because it's all you know, right? And that's kind of what happened with me. And came up with a lineup. Well, actually, a good friend of mine came up with the name and designed me a nice little logo. And I brought the ops to the table. And shortly after, brought in a partner to help me scale it. And it was almost a sensation at day one. When I opened the first door, I never really had an intention to go to a door two, right? It was sort of, hey, I'm an operator, I'm a restaurateur. Let me go ahead, open up, make a living, pay my bills, and save up some college funds for the kids, you know? And since day one, it kind of just took off like a rocket. We were getting inquiries probably third or fourth weekend. We had people traveling to try the food. You know, we're in Metro Detroit, I would say all the way from Kalamazoo down to Columbus, Ohio. And we really started making a lot of noise. And that's when I decided to bring on a good friend of mine and business partner, Jack Machini. And we started scaling. You know, we built our first 4 stores in a short period of time, a relatively short period of time, actually, probably about 7 to 10 months in. And we wanted to stay relevant in the markets we were growing in. And it kind of just webbed out from there. So that's where we're at.
All right. So for a bunch of things that I want to unpack on that.
Yeah.
What year did you... So you started scaling. Did you become a franchise for scale, or were you just scaling corporately?
No. So I opened up in 2017, right? November, December. Became a franchise, I think, and I think it was October of 18, we became a franchise. And the goal at that point was to open up a bunch of doors. Let's build our relevance. Let's showcase our ops. You know, we focus and zero in on service, speed, quality. Really just showcase to the Midwest who we are.
Yeah.
And then next thing you know, we started growing and we started to realize, hey, you know what? We're a player now, right? So Wing Snob became a player in this space. And lots of wonderful relationships have been created over the last years, since day one, I'd say. A lot of support even from fellow competitors, you know. And a lot of great things have stemmed from day one. Beyond franchising are the relationships and resources that we've been able to grasp through time, right? And you know, this was never the intention. So when you said, how did you fall into franchising? That's exactly what happened. We fell into this, and it's nothing short of a blessing, and lots of hard work goes into it. And we got the way to the moon to go.
I want to add something that I find interesting, and now that I've done many of these, and look, I've been doing this for a long time. I've always loved the entrepreneur story or the founder story, because you find grit, you find hustle, you find moments of panic where the money's not coming in, you find battling through that, and everything that goes through being an entrepreneur. But what I find interesting, it's another story of, I heard someone that cut their teeth in the deli. And what fascinated about me, nobody writes a story. This should be a written story in the Wall Street Journal of what the deli business has produced, not just from talent standpoint, but from how to operate a business. Because the complexities of a deli, it's almost like the equivalent that if I'm trying to find some sort of comparison, I would be like when Bally's had their giant gyms, and all of a sudden people go, "Ooh, I could take a portion of this gym and put it in a small little box and learn the operation, take the operational excellence and do it in a smaller way." It's almost that's what the deli ended up teaching. I find it so fascinating. So many awesome entrepreneurs have been born from the deli.
That's
Is
very
that
well said, Nick.
operations? Yeah.
So you do know a thing or two about this. So yeah, that is very true. It is very, very labor intensive, tons of moving parts, let alone, you have the ops from back of the house preparations to work atmosphere culture to workflow transitioning, let alone you still have supply chain to worry about, marketing and advertising to worry about. And then you have that real big factor of catering, right? Catering is a huge thing in the deli world. So, but yes, I think you nailed it. You get to pull a little bit out of that deli and build this little box and just do it very, very well and just scale it. That's exactly what has transpired.
How many franchisees do you guys have now?
I say we have around 20, low 20s.
Okay.
Oh, we got we got quite a few multi-unit operators.
Yeah.
And we're around 200 units sold, some aggressive development schedules. And we're in Michigan, Ohio, Illinois. We're building out South Florida. We're in Canada, up in Edmonton, London, Ontario. We're down in Texas, out in Houston, Dallas, and down in the Valley, the Rio Grande Valley. And we are entertaining Atlanta as we speak. We are opening Cincinnati. So we're most definitely growing.
I would imagine. So look, in your story, because you got to learn how the operations worked, I would imagine one of the challenges, and this comes from how you put scaffolding around the franchisee, especially if they're going to be more of the owner operator, is that they don't have that background. Some of them might come from food in some capacity, but the deli is a different beast than it is being a general manager of a restaurant. The challenge that I see in your business is it's so easy to have an affinity for wings and what wings represent. And so if that doesn't parlay or connect in or bridge into the operational side, a franchisee needs to offset some of those weaknesses with strengths by the way that they hire their staff. Is this something that as you've started opening up restaurants and realizing like that was probably one of your truest assets as a business operator, is you knew like you've been pushed through boot camp that opening up these is probably not hard for you, but to someone that doesn't understand depth and is doing it in real time, they have to learn this in conjunction with their passions.
So to offset that strain to a franchisee, what we've done is we've launched a e-learning platform, right? We launched an LMS platform. And it goes into great depths, but we made it fun. We made it interactive, a lot of videos, a lot of interactive stuff in there. Obviously we always start with the onboarding and we kind of go from there, but we have our own ways and tactics and techniques of training that really dumb things down for anybody to really understand and learn in a short period of time. So I'm a big systems guy. I'm a big ops guy, as I told you. Yeah. And we've been working on deficiencies since day one. And I'm not going to sit here and say we're perfect, but we've got a pretty good grip on relieving those strains and onboarding these franchisees to become adjusted to this brand and operations quite easily.
Yeah. Not that numbers are everything, but I look on the numbers on the board that you guys are putting up. And frankly, in a restaurant brand, I would love to see a 2-to-1 investment to gross ratio. And clearly on a higher performing average, however you disclose it in FTD, you're doing well. You're outperforming what a traditional pizza or sub brand would do in the wing category, which is great. And I would imagine if you're putting a target up on the board, you're looking at what Wingstop has done as a business, and you're like, here's how we're going to do it better. And so I see these numbers working in a steady way. But I know entrepreneurs can look at this and say, yeah, that's good, but here's where we're going to go. Like, do you look at this and say, all right, things are going well, or are you just constantly just thinking about opportunity?
Well, although, look, these numbers are all very important, right? we don't really focus on the numbers.
Yeah.
We focus on our operations. We focus on our pillars, which are our 3 Fs, the fast, fresh, and friendly, right? So as most people know, when you don't look at the money and you focus on the craft, the money comes. Now, in the event that numbers are down, don't get me wrong, they are monitored. They are monitored, but we really try to get the franchisees to not zero in on the dollars at such an early stage and really just focus in on the tasks at hand, and the dollars come.
Yeah.
So, we're always striving to do more, right? That's the whole key. And franchising is this, one thing I've learned about franchising is it's like a big game, right? You get all these big players and it's all numbers. And look, we're a corporate company, yes, but we got a big mom and pops feel on the back end, right? So we really like to, I'm not going to sit here and say we break them down, but we have them start from scratch, because we have multi-unit franchisees that come from other major brands as well. And they're stuck to what they knew or what they know and they currently did or do, whatever the case may have been. We kind of not break them down, but start them at ground zero to show them the Wing Snob way, right? Because we're all about simplicity and diving into operations from a whole different perspective. The numbers always end up coming. When you do the right things happen. That's any operator, right? So yes and no to answer your question.
Yeah, I think that's a smart approach. Now, obviously, and I always say this. I say brands don't sell brands, people do. I'm ultimately going to buy from you. I'm going to buy from you telling me your story. You're going to say, look at what I had to battle through. You're going to be able to show me a pipeline. And sold not open doesn't do much for me. It's more the fact that you're actually getting these stores open. You've entered a crowded category, but you're a smart guy, and you saw a gap that you thought you could close. You're like, here's how we do it better. I'm not hearing the product. Clearly, you can see it in the reviews people rave about. I'm hearing you just constantly dial back into operations. And I feel like in franchising, operations is almost second to brand marketing and product. But if you don't meet the expectations of the customer when they walk in the door, you lose them. And so that's why you continue to build it up, because you're like, we're gonna build an operational foundation that takes care of our people, both our employees and our customers, and look what it's doing from a number standpoint. So I appreciate that from your story.
We're all about retention, Nick.
What's your dream now? I mean, the dream's active, but what's the dream?
The dream? Well, keep growing, right? So I'm very goal-oriented. We're going to hit our 100 doors, and then I'll reevaluate. My partner and I will reevaluate. We're slated to open. We're slated to have 100 doors open by second quarter 2025. And once we hit that, we'll go back and revisit and reevaluate and go from there.
Have you dreamt about other parts of the deli that you could extract and do the exact same thing?
No, not at all.
I mean, I think Sandwich Snob, I just bought the URL because I'm going to start doing this now just because I thought that's an easy one too.
There you go.
All right. So to a candidate that's maybe watched us up to this point, they're intrigued by our conversation. They see that you're on a positive trajectory, and the supply and demand is always going to be an issue. Fear of missing out is what people don't want to have. Is there anything else you want the candidate to know about you or the business?
Luckily, with supply chain, we've got a pretty good grip on that. We've got very well established relationships with people very high up in the logistics world, for us at least, and not much of a concern on that note.
No, and I don't mean supply on the product side, more so like if I want to open in Detroit, you're going to tell me no because we're sold out. That's what I mean. Supply and demand on the business opportunity standpoint. Yeah.
So Michigan as a whole, we're hyper targeting right now the Midwest, right? We are not sold out. We are, we sell by territory. And mind you, we still have all of Florida to develop, all of Texas to develop, everywhere in between. Although we are staying east of the Mississippi for the time being, where we're at, we won't be entertaining anything west of the Mississippi probably until mid 2025. So, but no, most definitely throw an inquiry out there and we'll figure something out. And if worst case scenario, if it's not meant to be, it's not meant to be at this time.
All right, Brian, the most important question of our discussion. Would you rather you never sell a franchise again, but the Detroit Lions win the Super Bowl this year, or you continue to sell franchises and they go back to being the Detroit Lions?
No comment. I can't answer that. I've got friends that play in the league too. I can't answer that question.
I love it. I love it. Brian, thanks for sharing a little bit of your story. We appreciate it. This is another episode of Meet the Zor. For Brian, I'm Nick. Take care, everybody.